Qian Shuidi smiled as widely as a fox. My dear student Weiyan, are you hiding something from us? This wench was indeed wily. Although it seemed like Ouyang Ruolyu was the most intelligent among them, this snack-loving girl was even sharper. What would I hide from you? Weiyan would not take the bait. What I mean is, Wang Zheng's Saruman snake battle team is currently the top seed in SIG. If we ruin this, it will reflect badly on SIG. The rest of the world will think that Aslan did it on purpose. Weiyan's logic made sense. It was indeed true that Aslan was intent on this SIG. Wang Zheng's IG had cost Aslan the championship on their own stage, and they could not afford to lose it again. No matter how strong Saruman Snake was, they were the representatives of Elite Academy X. They could try to prank them, but it would be an easy read by paparazzi, and if it was complicated, then it would lose its meaning. Is that it then? I mean, for the future happiness of our Dong we should let the matchmaking take its course. And minimize our interference, Lin Weiyan said. That is why Sister Ruolyu can't be the one to do it, it has to be Shuidi. The three of us will watch from the back. No, I don't want to. Weiyan, why not you? You forget that I was at Elite Academy X. How could he not recognize me? I'm Lin Weiyan. I think Weiyan has a point, Dong said. She was uninterested in this matchmaking. I can't do it. Look at me, so cute and so lowly. How would I be near a matchmaking age? Qian Shuidi pointed at herself. All three girls brooded for a bit. This had hit the nail on the head. No one would believe such a cute girl, no matter how much makeup was added. How about this? I'll sacrifice a little and go myself. You wait in the wings. At the slightest sign of trouble, watch for my signal, and you all must come and help, Dong said. It was her matchmaking after all, and she had best see to things herself. In the end, all four girls started their plotting. How could they make this matchmaking more interesting? Weiyan could only pray for Wang Zheng now. The next day, all of the Elite Academy X members had dressed especially carefully. Before the official reporting day, they had been relaxed, touring the Royal College. The place was huge, and there was plenty to amuse them. Of course, they wanted to venture out further, but they could not leave Aslan's capital. Di Maria had finally found his place. He was not at all out of place within Royal College. Although Wang Zheng was no stranger himself, it was not nice to steal the thunder of others. Di Maria had specially arranged for a car for those who wanted to go out. From the reception, it seemed very kind of him. Mars and the rest did not hold back. There was no reason to stay in their rooms all day in Aslan. They should get out for a look. Zhang Feng had only one request, which was not to get in trouble before the competition. After shopping for a morning, they felt rather dissatisfied with the excursion. It felt like they were being stared at. It was not a good feeling. Which was why they decided to split up for the afternoon, and again left Di Maria's preparations wasted. Wang Zheng, you're familiar with this place. Is there any special place with many babes? Bring us for a look, Zhang Shan said. There are plenty of beauties here, but many of them with thorns. I have something on in the afternoon, so I won't go with you. But I'll be back at night, Wang Zheng said. They had lunch in the canteen. It felt good to be somewhere new, and everyone was accommodating. Many were Royal College students. Of course, there were also plenty of competitors from other countries, only that no one knew who was who without school uniforms. Mu Zhen was not eating with them. This was a normal canteen, and his size was a difficult fit. All right. I hear that the nightlife is great, and I wonder how the school's alcohol is like. Takumi was itching with curiosity. Stop dreaming. Aslan is the vegetarian, quiet, and elegant kind. They aren't the type to get drunk. Vincent shook his head. Correct. Wang Zheng smiled. But the night view is indeed not bad here. When I'm back, I'll contact an old friend, see if they're around. Meat, Zhang Shan suddenly declared. Nothing, I just want to eat meat. Eat then, it's all free here. Wang Zheng was worrying about his afternoon date. He did not want this thing to blow up. After all, he was here for a competition. Sigh, old Mew and old Butch really knew how to throw a spanner in his works. And the other person was rather odd, to choose to meet at the Royal College of all places. Luckily, the place was rather private, and also a rather high-end place. After their meal, Wang Zheng hastened to his matchmaking. He had his manners. At the very least, he could not be late. "Captain, why do you seem so anxious?" Takumi said. "There's some devilry with this guy. Let's follow, it'll definitely be a good show," Dongshan said shiftily. "I knew there was something off when we came here." The three rushed out, but Wang Zheng had already disappeared without a trace. Dongshan and the rest were dreaming if they thought they could track student Wang. No choice. Zhang Shan and the rest could only follow the main group in the afternoon. Ai Xiaolu was not familiar with the place, but nothing really stumped her, she was almighty. At that moment, Ai Xiaolu, Luo and Snowli were strolling on campus. Given the look in their eyes, they had to acknowledge that the Royal College was a good place. It was hard to put into words. Although Elite Academy X was not bad, it was still rustic compared to a place like this, which was rich, and refreshed one's spirit in many ways. Xiaolu, Hail Cloud Alliance's leader's surname is also Ai. Is it someone from your family? Luo asked. Ai Xiaolu nodded. My elder cousin. Someone favored by the family. That Ai Zhengyang kept his nose out of family business. He loved mecha and was rebellious. Before, he had not been favored by the family, but for some reason, the family had suddenly realized that he was good stuff. Ai Zhengyang had fought for a name for himself. His ability had risen strikingly, and the key was military recognition, which had compelled the family to recognize him. Ai Xiaolu was, after all, a girl. Within any family, there was strife, and the Aishi Financial Group was no exception. But Ai Xiaolu was not too familiar with this cousin. I've looked at the lineup. All 10 teams are top class. Besides, many more qualified competitors are lining up behind them. Luo smiled. Won't be easy for Wang Zheng to break his way out of the pack. Nothing is easy. If you want to take the win in this competition, ability alone won't suffice. There are all kinds of other factors, luck being paramount, Ai Xiaolu said. That top 10 thing is a farce. It's useless. The Aslan Officer School team is comparable, if not stronger than the Aslan's Royal College team. A smokescreen, or something like that. These top 10 teams are just a facade, for the crowd to see. Once the competition begins, you'll know. Ai Xiaolu and Luo were rather relaxed, as they were not competing. But Snowli could not shake her tension off. Wang Zheng was very strong, and the other team members were not weak either. But could they endure such a continuous barrage? Let's talk about lighter matters. The competition hasn't started. Besides, the important thing is to participate. I hear that the Royal College has a tea shop that is the Pearl of Monte Ellis, which the royals love. Luo laughed. You must be referring to 1 meter of galaxy. Yes, that place. Let's go then. We can see if it lives up to the reputation. 1 meter of galaxy. The hottest tea house in the Royal College during this period. From the ambience to the food, it was perfect in every aspect. Even in Aslan, it was considered luxurious. Once you entered 1 meter of galaxy, it was as though you had been transported into the heart of the galaxy. Of course, this was no simple projection. That would not satisfy these students who had seen the best the world had to offer. They used a new sensory technique that would adjust itself in accordance with the guest's emotional state, setting off the guest's visual senses. At the same time, each room had a different character, chosen to show off the most unique views in the Milky Way Alliance. There were only 18 rooms, and it was impossible to enter without an appointment. More, even if average students wanted to make an appointment, they could not. Forget about matters of fairness, this was the Aslan Empire. As for the tea and snacks, there was no best, only better. But the environment and food, which left the girls ecstatic, held no appeal for Wang Zheng. In the past, Wang Zheng would be worried about the bill. Such places would clean him out, but now he did not need to worry about this. He was a man of means now. The usher looked at Wang Zheng with a smile. Welcome, sir. Do you have a reservation? Wang Zheng started. I should. Dong. The receptionist smiled politely. Miss Dong has no reservation today. Could you confirm this? The receptionist was tall and handsome. Wang Zheng felt that this brother should have been a model or an actor, or something with more future. Wang Zheng was worried. He had received the details of the place, the person, and the event from old Mew. He was not too sure about the rest. He had no contact details either. He could not ask old Mew to hold the date as well, could he? My apologies. Can I make an appointment now? I came a little earlier. We are meeting at 2 p.m., Wang Zheng said. 1,000 apologies. We only accept member appointments here. I've checked our records, and Miss Dong indeed has no appointment today, although she may arrive with friends in a while. If you are sure, you could wait in the hall for a while, the charismatic usher said. Thank you, Wang Zheng said. The usher showed Wang Zheng in. Wang Zheng felt like he was rather nice not to shoo him away immediately. The usher served up some juice. This is the newest product from our store. Please try it. Wang Zheng nodded. He checked his Skylink. All that was left to do was wait. Just as Wang Zheng was left hanging, a bunch of people walked in, smiling and laughing. Wang Zheng actually recognized a few. Di Maria, Aurora, and Jiali, who he had not seen in a while, as well as a few other guys and girls that Wang Zheng did not recognize. Di Maria had not thought he would see Wang Zheng here. After failing at putting on airs, he was done with those country bumpkins. He would amuse himself. He had arranged to meet with some friends. Sometimes it was quite tiring to hang with those losers. Aurora was no stranger to Wang Zheng. Clearly, Wang Zheng still felt a little distant from the Aslan crowd. Perhaps the only one whom he could feel a little warmth for was Jiali. Jiali smiled lightly. Wang Zheng, long time no see. Wang Zheng stood up as well. Yes, student Jiali looks as charming as ever. You have become more beautiful. Looks like your tongue has become honey ever since you became the greatest king, Jiali replied. Aurora and Di Maria held no good feeling towards Wang Zheng. They just nodded as greeting. You're Wang Zheng? I heard you're an animal? A young man who looked to be just past 20 and sporting a blonde ponytail challenged him. I'm Wang Zheng. I'm all right. Wang Zheng smiled. Showing off? But for this guy to spout such words from the get-go, he must be very young, or very spoiled. Elite Academy X shouldn't get ahead of themselves just because they gave themselves an award. The world is vast, blonde ponytail lectured. Di Maria, does he treat you as though you don't exist? After all, you're from Elite Academy X too. Wang Zheng smiled. Di Maria frowned. Whether Elite Academy X's reputation was good or otherwise, he had not been champion. Pars, stop fooling around. Wang Zheng, what are you doing here? Wang Zheng shrugged. Business with someone. I'm early. Oh, I know everybody who can make an appointment here. Who is it? Di Maria suddenly asked intrusively. That's true. Not many can make it here. Who is it? Pars said. He hated these small fry for getting their place just because they had some modest accomplishments. Their heads really swelled up so much they forgot their names. Dong. Wang Zheng felt that there was nothing to hide. You know Dong. Who are you to her, and why are you meeting her here? Pars was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Wang Zheng looked at this blonde ponytail who was hopping from one foot to another. There was really nothing to be said to someone like that. He just looked at him before sitting back down. After all, he was not familiar with anyone besides Jiali. He had made some conversation out of courtesy, but to press where he was not welcome was not Wang Zheng's way of doing things. Punk, out with it. What are you doing meeting Dong here? Pars had no intention of letting Wang Zheng off. He was one of those used to getting his way. Pars had already grabbed Wang Zheng's sleeve. Wang Zheng's finger flicked out lightly, and Pars jumped back in pain, as though he had been electro-shocked. Do I know you? Who are you? Wang Zheng asked coldly. If you dare to reach out carelessly again, heed your claws. You dare to hit me? Me? Pars was like a generator on fire. He was just about to rush over when he was restrained by Di Maria. Wang Zheng, what are you doing? Di Maria's voice was cold. Do you know what kind of place this is? Wang Zheng laughed lightly. Student Di Maria, is there something wrong with your intellect? This is Aslan, a democratic and free nation under the governance of the Milky Way Alliance. Why? Missed the day they taught it in elementary school? Wang Zheng hated this kind of easily influenced trash. From the side, Jiali was fighting a laugh. This guy was as naughty as ever. Wang Zheng, Di Maria shouted. Wang Zheng waved it off. Don't come and lecture me. You bunch of spoiled kids. If you want to find trouble, I'll accommodate your wish. but the few of you combined still can't take me on. Lecture? Then let me teach you something. There's an appropriate attitude to adopt when you're asking someone something. Your name is Pars. Just because your mother and father give way to you does not mean the whole world gives way to you. And even if the world does, I, Wang Zheng, am not part of that world. Di Maria and Pars were speechless with anger. Di Maria was indeed afraid to make a move on him. If he fought, he would lose. Besides, Wang Zheng's dominating words had not incited Di Maria's pride, but instead awakened Di Maria's memory. This person was the greatest king at Elite Academy X. Just because a tiger did not flex his claws did not mean he was a kitten. Di Maria was no idiot. Wang Zheng, if you don't come clean, don't think of leaving today. Pars was clearly one of those lacking in mental faculties. Looked like even Aslan had such trash. Wang Zheng shook his head in frustration. How could anyone so intellectually challenged be let loose? These youngsters were arrogant and were used to getting their way. Before, others were their stepping stones. They had never met the kind who did not back down before. Dong must have been some nerve of Pars. He would not let up. Wang Zheng had been rather restrained. It was Sig soon, and he did not want trouble. But the other guy was too much, and he could not take it lying down. The method of teaching was to teach them pain. Wang Zheng definitely could, but he was not willing to use it frivolously. Di Maria, you had best watch your friend's mouth, or he might not be able to speak after this, Wang Zheng said. I don't care. If you don't say what your relationship to Dong is, there will be no end to you and I. Wang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. Seemed like he had met a love rival. The trouble had started before the gossip had even spread. This was muddy waters now. Pars, calm down. You should ask Dong about this. Even Sijiali felt that he was going overboard. I don't care. I'll get quick with anybody who opposes me. Pars was close to a rage. When did Aslan fall to such appalling quality? A voice rang out. 3 people walked in. Pars was boiling. Why were there so many brazen troublemakers today? The one who spoke was a little lowly of small stature, but not of reputation. Luo I Xiaolu, and Snowli had arrived. You're nothing. Don't think I won't beat you up just because you're a woman, Pars leapt up. At this moment, Di Maria knew he could not stay on the sidelines any longer. He openly held Pars back. Pars, cool it now. Turning his head, Di Maria gave a small smile. Student Luo my apologies. This guy has a temper. It's a good thing for a guy to have some fire, but to use it to hit women, that's a rare sight. Ai Xiaolu smiled back slightly. Who are you? I am Ai Xiaolu. Remember that, Ai Xiaolu said. Perhaps because Di Maria was using a lot of strength, Pars had finally calmed down a fraction. He did not know Luo but he knew the Aishi Financial Group. Hail Cloud Alliance's Aishi Financial Group was well known in the Milky Way Alliance. And Di Maria had addressed Luo first, so she might be even more formidable than Ai Xiaolu. At this moment, a high-class girl walked out. A dress in crocus yellow, with long hair reaching her shoulders. She was not richly adorned, but that highlighted her extraordinary class all the more. Pars, you're being mean-spirited again. These are all Aslan's esteemed guests. How could you be so boorish? The girl smiled. Her aura was something special. Yang, you must be in the know. What is going on? Pars felt like he had found his savior. Yang Ruolyu's smile was like a spring breeze, softening all that had just happened. At this moment, Wang Zheng could already tell that this girl was connected to Dong which meant that they were already here. In truth, whether out of manners or respect for his teachers, he should have come, but he thought that a bunch of girls might simply treat this as amusement. Wang Zheng was not so petty, but he had no interest in chaperoning them to play house. Your case will wait. Yang Ruolyu approached and eyed Wang Zheng. They had been watching for a while, and had given their evaluations. This guy was not bad, although his manner was not that likable. Wang Zheng, is it? I am Yang Ruolyu, Dong good friend. Dong is not feeling well today, and cannot come. She sent me to convey her apologies. Wang Zheng was stood up. From the side, Ai Xiaolu and the other 2 inadvertently gasped. Wang Zheng, you furtively came for matchmaking. My God, coming from you. Wang Zheng rubbed his nose. I Xiaolu, don't make a fuss. What do you mean furtively? I'm out here in the open, aren't I? Matchmaking. Par's stance conveyed that he was about to fly over and start a fight. Dong, Ouyang Ruolyu crashed a fist down on Par's skull, then gave the blonde ponytail a violent yank. Everyone, my apologies. This guy is a little daft. Pars was squatting down holding his head. Ouyang Ruolyu had not gone easy. Wang Jung smiled slightly. At this moment, he roughly got the picture. This guy must like Dong. Everything else aside, his standing up had been a little stupid, but also a little brave. He would not quibble over things like this. If she feels unwell, then she needs to rest. I won't bother her. Wang Jung smiled. Snow, Xiaolu, Luo, what are your plans? We wanted to try the high tea, but now we've lost interest. How about the three of us go on a date with you? We have a lowly, an ice-cold beauty, and this sexier one. You could choose all three. I Xiaolu smiled. I feel that's a good idea as well. Let's go somewhere else. It was rare for Snow to be so proactive. Luo looked mildly at Ouyang Ruolyu. There should be no need for anyone to babysit for the Menlo family. This time around, Wang Jung is willing to let it go. If he chooses to keep this personality, there will be trouble sooner or later. Ouyang Ruolyu smiled slightly, exactly as student Luo says, but her eyes were bleak. Wang Jung and the rest left 1 meter of galaxy. His spirits lifted. Wang Jung himself felt relieved. His mission was over. Whether Dong was pretending or not, it did not matter. This simply meant they were not destined, and he had fulfilled his bargain towards Mu Function and Butcher. Aslan people aren't bad, they just take themselves too seriously, Luo said. Why were you match-made with Dong? Can you all stop hanging onto the word, matchmaking? Softer, please. This was an introduction by Mentor Butcher and Mentor Mu Function, so I had to come. And now the assignment's over. Wang Jung had to explain. Those two old geezers are really too free. You're not old, what's the rush? All three proclaimed their agreement vigorously. Within 1 meter of galaxy, Pars was fairly grumpy. Sister Ouyang, why did you hit me, that bastard? Pars, it's Sig period. There are many important characters from all over. Your temper will ruin your family. TCH. This is Aslan. Can they even touch me? Pars was uncowed. Although Di Maria was competitive with Wang Jung, and even on sour terms, he did not want this matter to blow up. It was childish and in poor taste. Pars, they won't bite you, but you will be grounded by your family forever. That little one is Gemini Star's Luo. Her father is the representative of the Milky Way Alliance. She's Ryan's daughter. Pars was dazed. How did a mug like Ryan give birth to such a beautiful daughter? Ping, Sister Ouyang, you hit me again. My brain must be addled because of you, Pars grumbled. You lot have the worst sense of timing, blundering into things. My plan is all ruined because of you, Ouyang Ruolyu said. Who let him date Dong? Luckily, I was here. Pars was still very pleased with himself, even smiling. You must be invalid. Clearly that Wang Jung had no feelings either, and Dong was forced by her family. The two would meet, and act for a while, and things would be over. If not for your antics. Ouyang Ruolyu had a sense of foreboding. She was afraid that this matter was not over. She had thought that Wang Jung was just an ordinary talent from Genesis Coffee Club, who could get the approval of Dong old man. But it looked like he was not such a simple person. Anyone so closely attended to by the likes of Ai Xiaolu and Luo was rare. Their talk of choosing all three had been a joke, but they were only half jesting. That guy's looks were average, and quite a ways from what was handsome by Aslan standards. Given the taste of Ai Xiaolu and Luo. The three who were hiding and watching had not expected things to reach this stage. Par's interruption had thrown their plan asunder. They had wanted to resolve this matter amiably, but now it had been ruined. But the way they saw it, it was resolved nevertheless. Dong it's over now, although not perfectly, Wei Yan smiled. Dong nodded. I felt like he had backbone, just like my dad. Capable, unafraid of strength, but also with a heart. It's not good for men to be too petty. That's childish. I like those who are a little more mature and forgiving. Lin Wei Yan started. That guy has a bad temper. You would know that after knowing him for a while. At that moment, Dong and Qian Shuidi turned to face Lin Weiyan. Weiyan, why do I feel like something is fishy? Dong have you noticed? Shuidi said as she sucked on a gobstopper lollipop. I long suspected there was something fishy. She was listless and had no energy in this period. Suddenly, she's glowing. Our esteemed princess, is there something you wish to say? Dong was no fool. The two quickly closed in on the helpless princess. Ouyang Ruolyu still had to entertain Di Maria and the rest, who were outside. At this level, even if they were not of the same circle, they were also very familiar with each other. It was clear that no one wanted to offend Ouyang Ruolyu. It was best to stay at a far and respectful distance from those in the intelligence business. Although nothing bad might happen outright, being on her radar was no good news. Di Maria and Aurora had clashed with Wang Zheng before, and had much to say. Is this Wang Zheng that good? Jiali was curious. I don't believe it. You must be teasing me. Look at him, he doesn't look like an expert at all. Pars was not at all sold. Di Maria looked at Pars. He doesn't even need his hands to kill you. An Earth rank warrior. Just one mental explosion and you're toast. Aurora nodded. I have never seen someone mature faster than Wang Zheng. He was still green at the last IG. When I see him now, there's a depth I have no measure of. Di Maria, you probably know him best. Di Maria's aloof expression dissolved into a grimace. In front of others, he would hold his pride close. In front of his own friends, there was no need to act. Aslan people were not that shallow. You know my talent, but I have never met an opponent that makes me despair as much. Immediately, everyone was silent. Ouyang Ruolyu was just listening on silently. She knew that Wang Zheng's Saruman snake had won the greatest king competition, but what it really signified, she had no idea. Even a broadcast was not a live experience, and she could not understand. But hearing it from Di Maria's mouth was a different thing altogether. Di Maria was undoubtedly one of the best in the younger generation. His time ability was the highest class of ability X. This spoke of his individual quality. He has mastered ice, fire, and wood, 3 types of ability. Don't abilities become weaker the more one acquires them? Ouyang Ruolyu asked. Di Maria gave a bitter laugh. Under normal circumstances, yes, but the problem is that his mastery of all 3 are at Earth rank. At the same time, he specializes in hybrid techniques. A combination of ice, fire, and wood. Under some circumstances, he can approach heaven rank territory. At this moment, even an idiot like Pars knew how scary this person was. And he had been blustering in front of that guy. He had been running rounds within the arms of death without knowing it. He's just 21. How? Ouyang Ruolyu was suddenly full of curiosity, because according to what she knew, he was a member of Genesis Coffee Club. Even Dong Er's father had praised him for both brains and brawn. It seemed like he had not had enough time since leaving his mother's womb to accomplish all that. If only that were all. The more genius one has, the more arrogant one gets. The more talented one is, the more obvious the weaknesses, but there's none of that with him. I got the same feeling. It was clear at IG. His ability to fight and react are supernatural, and in the crucial moments, his potential is incomparably limitless. In the last IG, he finished an S-rank mission alone and single-handedly carried the solar system into the main competition. One person, one mech fighter killing tens of thousands of worms, Aurora said. Previously, there was an incident at Elite Academy X. He fell into another space in the abyss. No one had ever made it back alive, but he did, and he brought back important information. That was a place that entire armies had vanished into without a trace before. Di Maria winced. If not for him, I would not be in such bad shape at Elite Academy X. That's not all. He has one more fearsome ability. Di Maria, have you noticed? Those around him might be of average ability, but after some time, they all develop at formidable rates. They turn from normal to exceptional, Aurora said. Yes, I felt like something was off. Those like Zhang Shan and Takumi are monsters now, and not so easy to deal with. In the past, such people would have been an early end if they faced Di Maria, and now? I don't believe that he has no weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. Ouyang Ruolyu smiled. For someone to make a proud guy like Di Maria this jealous, this guy must have something. If you had to force the issue, that guy is too serious about his relationships, Di Maria said. Ouyang Ruolyu had the same thought as Sijiali. This was a weakness? Without question, in terms of tactics, but what about in terms of a relationship? Perhaps because the topic was too heavy, everyone changed to a different direction. After chatting for a while, Ouyang Ruolyu rose to leave. Pars was grateful. If it had not been for Ouyang Ruolyu's intervention, he would have been dealt a punishing lesson, even if Wang Zheng had decided not to kill him. If this matter reached his family, it would have escalated. On the other side, Dong Er and Qian Shuidi had also just learned about it. They had also heard about it previously. After all, Aina's actions had been extremely conspicuous, and in the end it had been hushed up to become gossip within royalty. So this was the guy that Princess Aina liked. It was clear that given his status, Kashawin and the imperial family could not accept it. That was a hard line. But there was no such problem with Dong Er's family. Dong Er, this person seems not bad, steady and open, not like that pretty boy Pars. He's too much of a coward. Not just not bad, he's extremely awesome. I have some news as well, Ouyang Ruolyu said as she walked in. Say it, say it. I love gossip, Qian Shuidi excitedly said. This was one nosy loli. Ouyang Ruolyu repeated everything that Di Maria and Aurora had said. Besides Weiyan, the other two were flabbergasted. He's that good? I couldn't tell. Anyone who basks in the light of Aina must be something special. If she won't take it, I will. Dong Er puckered her lips. Seeing the gazes of the other three, she hastily waved it off. I'm kidding. You three have no sense of humor. I guess there'll be some interest in this sig. Our family did an assessment before. Saruman Snake indeed deserves their place in the top 10, but if you take away Wang Zheng, they would be in the top 50 at most. But if he's thinking of turning the tables single-handedly this time around, it's impossible. Sig's competition is too strong this time, Ouyang Ruolyu said. Not necessarily. His specialty seems to be accomplishing the impossible, Weiyan said. All right, show's over, I'm headed back. Let's split then. Hopefully Dad is happy about this result. Dong Er stretched lazily. But all their eyes concealed some dangerous signals. Wang Zheng was like a spark from another world, foreign yet full of mystery and danger. It was irresistible. They had to find out more. And because the network of relations was complex, all four besties were unable to express this fully. All four left 1 meter of galaxy, and were naturally whisked away by private cars. Miss, are you going home, or, the driver asked. Dong Er thought about it. To my dad's. Perhaps she should really get to know this Wang Zheng. Given her dad's personality, he would never approve of someone average. There was no father who did not love his daughter in this world. Anyone who could pass her father was already something different. On the way back, Weiyan was also wrestling with complex emotions. She did not know what she should do. Should she avoid him? Inside, she felt longing, but also apprehension. Angela, what should a person do when they can't make up their mind? Weiyan asked. Toss a coin, Angela joked. I'm kidding. The person should ask themselves which one will make them feel blessed. Fortune and happiness are undoubtedly the most important. The problem is, I don't know which will bring me happiness. Advancing might not bring happiness, and neither might retreating. It's hard to choose whether to fight or not. Weiyan was at a loss. Sometimes, the struggle lay in making the decision, not in the consequences. If that's the case, then a person should ask themselves if they will regret it if they lose it, Angela said. Regret, if lost? Weiyan felt like she could not breathe. Seeing the way that Weiyan was, Angela smiled. Your Highness, there's a phrase that goes, let nature take its course. Isn't that better? Don't fret about it. Angela, thank you. Weiyan gave her a beautiful smile. It is my greatest honor to receive the praise of the princess, Angela said. Angela was Aika's sister, teacher, and mother to Lin Weiyan. Kashawin had no time to be a mother. She could only be the prime minister. Dong Er came to Wang Zhenghong's laboratory. Wang Zhenghong broke out into a smile upon seeing his daughter. His daughter had taken her mother's surname. Although humanity had progressed this far, it was a huge concession by Aslan standards, because his wife had almost fallen out with her family over the issue. As a man, there were times when one had to back down. and at least he was very happy now. There was no tragedy like Romeo and Juliet, and now, the family had mentioned changing it back, but Wang Zhengong saw no need. What was most important was that his family was happy. Little wench, why are you so free to find me here today? Dad, why do you ask questions to which you already know the answers? Dong Er accused. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Wang Zhengong teased. It's that person, of course. What's his origin? Why does he seem so mysterious? Dong Er asked curiously. Did you all torment him today? Wang Zhengong asked. We didn't, but things did happen outside of our expectations. Dong Er laid out what happened, and that offended Wang Zhengong. Pars, that scoundrel. Enter our house? No chance even in the next lifetime, Wang Zhengong said adamantly. I don't like those cowardly types either, but it seems like Wang Zheng was forced to come. They might not like your precious daughter. Little wench, are you stirring the pot with your old man? I already said it. Just be friends. Let fate decide the future. I do feel like this kid isn't bad. Be friends with him, and maybe he can change your fickle personality, Wang Zhengong said. What kind of father are you, to make it sound like no one wants your daughter? He isn't that great, Dong Er said. I didn't say anything. Wang Zhengong laughed. This guy has very profound attainments in math and space physics. Some of the theories he raised have advanced humanity by 10 years. A pity that he has ambitions elsewhere, sigh. Thinking about this, Wang Zhengong felt a pang of regret. Although each had his own ambition, the way he saw it, exploring space's mysteries was a far more glorious undertaking than being a fighter. Mu Fengchun, Gale, Butcher, all those who had met him before had given him the highest evaluation. That was rare in recent years. Now, on the topic of theories, Wang Zhengong was excited. He did not care if Dong Er understood or was interested. He launched into an in-depth explanation, and his tone grew more wistful the more he said. Dong Er was speechless. He was praised over the moon. The problem was that what she had just heard was a completely different kettle of fish. How could one guy accomplish so much? Was he even human? Suddenly, Dong Er thought of the way he had sat composedly by himself. That peaceful and contented manner. What was he thinking of? Perhaps, just as her father said, she should get to know this guy better. Perhaps she would find a different life with him. In materially abundant Aslan, especially for royalty, the emotional world was most important. As for the fallen, rich heirs, they were rare on Aslan. Aslan nobility set the highest standards for themselves, and imposed extra standards on the next generation of heirs. They were tested with competition and goals. From young, they were raised in a way that those with ability were still accorded the highest respect. The capital of Aslan was not a place that you could see in a day, but it was apparent that the various members from all over the world were entertained. Of course, a few competitors had gone nowhere, hard at training, and slogging their guts out. A hurriedly polished gun would gleam, even if it was slow on the draw. After 3 days, the various military school teams had all arrived, and the entire SIG competitor zone became lively. There were all kinds of people, and Mu Zhen did not stand out. The Cockins, for example, had 4 hands. That was quite something. Of course, there were all kinds of fish in the sea. There were still many strict rules for SIG, which prevented provocation and conflict. With different customs, such fights could break out easily. This was something that SIG would not allow. All would be settled on the competition field. 10 in the morning. The various teams' main members had gathered in the saintly light Great Hall for the formal announcement of SIG's schedule and rules. All participating students needed to wear their own school uniforms, with switches strictly prohibited. There was no use trying to challenge these rules. No matter how good one felt, individuals were always minuscule in the eyes of a society. The designated rules were not to emphasize anything, but simply to keep order. At the same time, it came with a sense of pride. SIG was a battle for one's own planet and school. Wang Zheng led Saruman Snake's core members in. Zhang Shan, Achilles, Lai Xin, Snow Li. The instant the doors opened, a hush fell over the hall. Everyone's eyes were on them. Elite Academy X, Saruman Snake Battle Team. Their school uniforms had a resplendent X emblazoned, with a Tita Star Saruman snake motif on the side. Wang Zheng could feel the heat in that instant. This was the attention of countless pros. Because they were the greatest king at Elite Academy X, and also the #1 hot favorite on the leaderboards. In a warrior's world, this was the height of glory. The one at the front is Wang Jung. I heard that guy is hailed as first in the universe. That's too overboard. First in the universe, he must love to brag. Whether he's first or not, we'll only know if we face him. Beating him is the best way to overnight glory. Looks pretty ordinary. This blockhead can dominate Elite Academy X? Don't be too caught up with Elite Academy X, they're just circle jerkers. When we face them we'll form our own judgment. I've seen his matches before. He's strong. Even if he's not the strongest, he's up there with the best. In the whole SIG, I'm afraid there are maybe only 10 or so who can be at that level. After a short period of calm, countless discussions broke out. Now Wang Jung and the rest had to learn to adapt to the reception for the strongest. It did not matter what others said, what mattered was to be themselves. In the vast meeting hall, the first row was empty. Many strong teams had come, and those from the major superpowers were basically all present. But everyone knew that the first row was reserved for the seeded teams. It was fine to be confident, but without having first proven yourself, that would be not knowing your own strength. Everyone stared at the Saruman Snake Battle team. They were the most talked about team after Elite Academy X's Greatest King battle, but the inside scoop on them was indeed sparse. One-off success did not convince everybody. Instead, it only made even more people unconvinced, because succeeding once depended heavily on the element of luck. This was also why Arbiter was generally regarded as stronger than Aslan, because they had been through countless victories to prove themselves and get to where they were today. Saruman Snake was a classic case of shallow roots. This was not the Saruman Snake Battle team's fault. The tree that grew above the forest must face the harrying of the wind. If their foundations were solid, they could withstand the wind and rain. If they were not, then they would fall in an instant. Regardless of how you looked at it, Saruman Snake belonged to the latter. Many reckoned that Asura and Imperial Glory could go further than Saruman Snake. Their approach was more holistic and stable, whereas the Saruman Snake Battle team was a classic roller coaster of emotions that depended on risks. It was not that they were not capable, but it seemed unlikely they would withstand the rigors of the competition procedure. The cruelest thing was that the SIG organizers purposely put Saruman Snake in the first place position. This was the ultimate revenge. As a new team, and with the team members not being the traditional elites, the only reference score was the Greatest King competition, and that was a self-given title within Elite Academy X. Teams like Aslan and Arbiter had won many championships in international competitions, although none were as fancy as Elite Academy X's. At this time, if Saruman Snake had been placed 7th or 8th, no one would bat an eyelid. That would have been a good thing for Saruman Snake as well. At least they would have some peace. They were indeed qualified to be a seeded team, just not the first seed. This was a rather overboard form of vengeance, but whatever SIG thought, this had been decided, and Saruman Snake's best bet was to lie low. Lying low could reduce some stress, and also conserve their energy. At least, many thought this way, and even Ai Xiaolu and the rest concurred. Besides, Wang Jung had said that they were now going to be the biggest target. They just had to prove it on the battlefield, and lie low in all other aspects. That would be easiest. This was undoubtedly the mark of the prudent FC King, as if. Wang Jung casually walked to the first row and sat in the middle seat. Immediately, the whole place broke out in murmurs. At such a venue, every little action was magnified and analyzed. No wonder everyone says this guy is bold. I didn't believe it, but it seems like the truth. That's why it's going to be interesting. I want to see how Aslan, Arbiter, Manalasuo will react. Wang Jung was sitting easy, it felt good, and the position was great. There was no one in front of him, and it was all refreshing. Zhang Shan was cocky. He loved this feeling. As for what others said, student Zhang Shan couldn't care less. He was a smart guy. Whether you sat at the front or back, there would always be haters. In that case, why not be comfortable while their balls ached? Snowlee's cold manner did not really mind what others said. Even if she felt that it was brave to sit here, she would support Wang Jung's decision. Lai Xin did not care. The Lai family were barbarians, who did not care anyway. Perhaps only Achilles felt that this was not too prudent, it was too challenging. The murmurs behind grew, but was moderated at an intelligent level. After all, they occupied first place, and were qualified to sit there. They had the right to modestly decline or take it. As for their ability, that was decided in competition, not by themselves. The first row already had 5 tall and handsome youngsters. They had sharp ears and their long robes were patterned with runes, signifying their status. They were the Sea Queen team from Atlantis. Leading them was their captain, Dina Atlas. True royalty from Atlantis. This was the first time that the rarely seen royalty would be battling. In Atlantis, the monarchy meant intellect and fighting ability. This was different from humans, whose monarchy was an elaborate figure. Dina was not the first royalty that Wang Zheng had met. Dina was looking at Wang Zheng as well. The handsome Atlanteans smiled, and Wang Zheng replied with his own. Because he had not detected any hostility from them, when he thought about it, he had clashed with Atlantis quite a few times, beginning with IG. But Wang Zheng admired the character of the Atlanteans, and also respected their civilization. It was a strange sense of kinship, but he had met them more as opponents. He had thought they were just greeting him, but Dina stood up and walked towards Wang Zheng. At such an occasion, showing off was very important. Unless they were extremely close, no one would proactively greet this way, unless they were inviting or challenging them. Otherwise, it might be regarded as a sign of weakness. That was why all the big teams sat tight after they had found spaces. They were holding their ground for now. Seeing the other walk over, Wang Zheng stood up as well. One person walked over, while the rest of Saruman Snake's members were unmoving. Captain Wang Zheng, greetings. I am Sea Queen Battle Team's Dina. Our prince, His Highness, has commanded me to convey his greetings to you. He wanted to come personally to watch your competition, but was delayed by some matters. He will definitely be here for the finals. Dina's words quietened the hall. This Wang Zheng, wasn't he a loser from Earth? When had he gotten to know the Prince of Atlantis, and become so familiar? This seemed off somehow. It has been a while since I saw Prince Hao Lin. Captain Dina is also a prince, right? The Sea Queen battle team must be gunning for the championship. The pressure is tremendous, Wang Zheng said lightly. Dina also smiled. Both clasped hands. There was not much testing going on. Those of a lower level had many tricks and ways about them, but at this level, they were rather open. The Sea Queen battle team's foundations went without saying. Atlantis has 9 major tribes. Only His Highness Hao Lin is a true prince. I am at best a tribal prince. If we meet this time, we will be looking for revenge, Dina said. Memory of that battle stands afresh in my mind. To be able to battle with the Sea Queen battle team would be our honor. We will give it our best. Wang Zheng said. He could feel the respect of his opponent. He would not think any less of his opponent for it. Royalty leading a team. How fearsome would an unsealed Atlantean be? In truth, Wang Zheng had not thought of any good plan. Any weakness would have to be discovered in future battles. Weaknesses would be found. There was no perfect team. The same went for Dina. He could feel the calm in Wang Zheng, something that only the strong were capable of. Besides, he did feel a strange sense of kinship with Wang Zheng. Such a situation was rare. Among humans, they only felt it with Aslan's Princess Aina. Of course, Her Highness had felt the radiance from the temple and therefore was different. The Atlanteans' proactive greeting had given much pressure to the teams, muttering among themselves. They felt like Saruman's snake had emerged from some fissure in the rock. They had not reached where they were in the span of a day. At least team leader Wang Zheng was like that. How the rest of the team was, Wang Zheng was disinclined to say. There were too many factors at play. If it were single challenge, at this level, there was not much that could stop him in this hall. This was not arrogance, but confidence accumulated through numerous battles. If he had no confidence after surviving so many close shaves with death, then he was indeed not worthy of mention. The reason why Earth, and even the solar system, was unable to keep up with the pace of the great stellar universe was because a moderate path was not suited to the wild and frenzied pace. Closely following, Aslan's leader, Lin Feng, brought the Sword Shield Rose Rider battle team in. This captain was composed. He did not much heed those around him. Given his age and maturity, He could not be like a child. Sig's level was considered low to him. He did not even feel like showing off. Seeing the Saruman snake battle team seated smack in the center, he did not comment, but sat down on one side. Those who had expected the Sword Shield Rose battle team to start something were disappointed. Damn, I thought Aslan would make them give up those seats. You daft, this is Aslan's home ground. They're above such a dishonorable thing, it's too shallow. This is so boring. I miss that year's IG when things were heated. It was all spoiled kids then, it would be silly to quarrel now. Many of the major teams continued to stream in. Each strong team's entrance would be greeted by turned heads and stares, as though it was an introduction before the main competition. When the first row was filled, the venue inexplicably quietened. The awesome aura that the 10-seeded teams emanated was filled with a spiritual confidence. These 10 teams evidently needed to prove they were the best through battle, but had no need to prove they were in the top 10. Arbiter's soulless battle team leader, Aragorn, appeared unremarkable, with no special features. The entire 0 Degrees battle team was bland and boring. Even at such a relaxed situation, they all looked cut from the same cloth. The Child of Light battle team indeed gleamed, they were sparkling too much. The Mayans' recent international performance was commendable. The 0 Degrees battle team from Hail Cloud Alliance. Ai Jungyang's countenance did have some resemblance to Ai Xiaolu, but these similar-looking cousins' relationship was not that close. The Darkness Empire's Dark Knight battle team looked mature. They were slightly older in years. Leader Gonzalez had begun to build a name for himself in the military world. It looked like the Darkness Empire had ambitions as well. Here, you could see how foundationally solid the teams were. Those like the Darkness Empire, Versailles Empire, Lea Sphinx had teams with older members. Everyone knew that before the age of 30, the older the stronger. They were headed for the peak, and were not on the decline. But the strongest countries rarely wasted their energy worrying about these competitions, which again demonstrated their foundation. On a closer look, Saruman Snake's average age was the lowest out of the top 10. Because they had no overage or close to overage members, all 4 Elite Academy X teams were the same, at about 20 years old, give or take 1 or 2 years. Everything else aside, Elite Academy X was ahead of other schools in this regard. It could be a point of discussion before the competition. On the battlefield, strength spoke loudest. Otherwise, one would just be a braggart. When all the members were present, C.G. Ali walked up. As the student council chairperson of Aslan's Royal College, she was also the one who would receive all the attention. One has to know that the student council chairperson would without exception become a bridge in Aslan, although she might not seem so now. Greetings, everyone. I am C.G. Ali, and I welcome all you military school elites from all over the universe to this iteration of SIG, organized by Aslan. Actually, I've been observing all of you sneakily from the start. There are a lot of hunks. Clearly, you could earn a living with your faces alone, but you decided to conquer the world instead, C.G. Ali said. Immediately, there was laughter. The razor-sharp atmosphere in the room softened in a flash. In such a gathering of might, the atmosphere was extremely stiff, but it did not have to be this way, since the competition had not even started yet. Of course, C.G. Ali also knew that this was not her stage, and she did not prolong the issue. And now please welcome General Akerlif from the Milky Way Alliance Command Division to introduce the competition proceedings in detail. Lieutenant General Akerlif walked to the middle of the podium and surveyed them. The general's expression was more solemn, and he had no intention of engaging in banter. The preliminaries will be divided into 5 groups and carried out simultaneously. The groupings and matchups will be sent out to your Skylinks. Each group will have 2 seeded teams. The preliminaries are in an elimination format. The loser will be directly eliminated. Each of your teams carry with you the hopes of your country and school. I hope that everyone can do their best and have no regrets. Lieutenant General Akerlif said no more. The entire process had been brief, with no mention of what was to come. It meant that if you could not pass the preliminaries, you could arrange passage back. The first phase was a filter, and very important to each team and individual. What remained was for C.G. Ali to introduce the competition period. The Royal College's reception for them, as well as the way to use the public facilities. Of course, a copy would be disseminated through the Skylink, but as the host, the Royal College would still give their best. But a majority of the members were ignoring all this, because everyone was caught up with the groupings. Of course, the important thing was their first opponent. Because there were many teams in the preliminaries, a simulated environment was used. Another reason was that the ability gap might be too fearsome in the preliminary stages, and unnecessary deaths could be avoided. In the past, another reason SIG had no real value was because ability did not develop uniformly. This period was when one's ability underwent changes. Although the 10-seeded teams were strong, none of the top 50 teams were no easy meet. Although the Asura battle team was not in the top 10, there were 2 Earth rank warriors there. Who would dare to call them weak? And Arbiter, Manalasuo, and other teams from superpower countries. Matching against them would be one's luck. It also depended on each team's state of mind. Those with a good attitude treated it as a learning experience. Facing against strong teams was not a bad experience, and to be able to stand on the same stage as them was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Those with a sour attitudes went without saying. Before too long, everyone's skylinks were going off. The groupings were secondary. The key was the first matchup, which was important to every team. After it was over, some were celebrating, while others were commiserating. The last 2 days had been adjustment. More than 300 countries, and 500 teams. There was not much point training at this time. More important was collecting information on their opponents. The core members were often ordered to ease up. Even those who still wanted to train were limited to moderate amounts. The 2 solar system teams left the other C-ranked nations red-eyed with envy. But on second look, it felt even. The solar system was not playing any tricks this time around. Both teams were filled with real military students. Of course, there were 2 or 3 30-year-olds who claimed to be research students, but compared to other countries, this was considered rather conservative. It was not that the solar system did not want to play tricks, but considered that those who had come out of the auditions might not necessarily achieve ideal results. Rather, why not give the youngsters a chance to toughen themselves? Sometimes, facing one's problems was better than covering it up. The solar system was adopting a healthy approach to this SIG. Reputation should be defended in moderation. If they fell behind, that was all right as well. What was important was to nurture the newcomers and next generation. Today, they were reserves. In a few years, perhaps more surprises like Wang Zheng and Zhang Shan would emerge. They had also first tasted sweetness at IG. The 2 teams that the solar system had sent were called Dragon War and Battling Tiger. The metaphorical meaning was deep. Warring dragon, battling tiger. They hoped they could fight in the style of the solar system, but their draw was quite unlucky. The Warring Dragon battle team was against Mia Empire battle team. They were officially C rank, but privately, everyone regarded the Mia Empire battle team as a crane in a flock of chickens within the C rank teams. They were formidable. The Battling Tiger battle team was even worse off. They were directly matched up against one of the leaders in the B rank, the Ghana Star battle team. The 2 leaders in charge of drawing the lot were banging their heads against the wall. Cursed hands. They wanted to cut them off and feed them to the dogs. They had destroyed everyone's hopes. After all, facing a weaker opponent would give them a boost of hope. Since they had come, no one wanted to be eliminated in the first round. Wang Zheng received Xiao Fei's message. Xiao Fei would definitely come for such an event, but she was more busy than in the past. As the principal, she could not possibly come to Aslan just for SIG. She had to secure even more resources and opportunities for Ares College. She had to be relentless. In front of Wang Zheng, Xiao Fei hid nothing and used her witch skills. She skipped all the superficial niceties and went straight to extract what remaining usefulness student Wang had. Here's our recent project in the laboratory. Take a look and see if there's anything to add. Teacher Xiao Fei, what little skill I have has long been eclipsed by you. Besides, teacher, there are only 2 more days until the competition. Won't you let me off? Wang Zheng was immediately put off by the formatting. He could still say something about simple physics theories, but for such a large project with thousands of lab trials, looking through the data would take tens of hours. In truth, the more his physical strength waxed, the more his interest in this field waned. I knew you would need a break. That's why I gave you these to relax you. Xiao Fei's lips were plump and alluring as she faced Wang Zheng, her repertoire polished. I'll look at it, Wang Jung also knew Xiao Fei's intention. Smiling, he accepted the folder, and told himself he would. That's right. The two solar system teams are made up of your cute juniors. If you have time, you can take some time to go watch. Give them some pointers and encouragement. In a while, their captain will contact you. There are only 2 days to the competition, so no need for anything formal. Have a meal and a chat. That will be fine. Xiao Fei's call came with a note of command. Even before fighting, these two teams' morale was extinguished. The training effect was completely gone. One could lose, but not with their head bowed. In a competition, one fought until that last breath. It was fine to lag behind, but more importantly, if one lost the vigor, then one's entire life would be wasted. After the Greatest King competition, Wang Jung, Zhang Shan, Achilles, Lai Xin, Lear, Luo Fei, and the rest had already become legitimate symbols of power within the solar system military schools, and they were promoted as role models. Their experiences were used to galvanize students. The solar system was not short on ability, but there had been no figure of leadership to utilize their potential. And in their generation, they were very fortunate. Many years of accumulation would come to bear in their generation. The team's mood was down. If their source of motivation, people like Wang Jung and the rest, could appear and give them a pep talk about their Greatest King experience, and Wang Jung could talk about the unique experience of being an Earth rank pro, then such seeds could be motivated effectively. Wang Jung had heard about Warring Dragon and Battling Tigers lots from Achilles. Even if Xiao Fei had not made that call, they would have thought of a way to contact them, and found an excuse to go watch them. And now that mighty Xiao Fei had said it, things were even more straightforward. You might as well not go. If you go, you have to be serious. Ares College treats your name like gold now. If you lead them wrong, do you know? I swear I will fulfill the mission properly. Wang Jung had no choice. He could only be the guarantee for Xiao Fei. He was resentful. Why was it that every time he faced Xiao Fei, he was always the one suffering? A witch was a witch. Next time, maybe he should try turning the tables? After hanging up with Xiao Fei, he found Zhang Shan, Achilles, and Lai Xin. Of course, no one would reject the alma mater's call. Vincent and Snowly had been called to similar meetups as well. When they contacted the two solar system team captains, the other person was extremely moved. They had set the time at 7 p.m., and the venue was Aslan's Food Street, at an eatery called Delicacies from the Sky. The only one in the team without an appointment was Mu Zhen, so he would come along as well. Wang Jung, Zhang Shan, Lai Xin, and Achilles came to the appointed place. From afar, they could see the two solar system teams. The teams stood neatly at the entrance of the food street. It was too ostentatious. But in a flash, the formation scattered. They had seen Wang Jung and the rest. Too bad. A blockhead like Mu Zhen could not avoid attention. Autographs and pictures, in a rush, their discipline crumbled after seeing their elite idols, and they crowded over. Before they came, they had not thought much about seeing their juniors. Perhaps just a chat, and they would impart some small experience about battling. But in this instant, seeing the members mob him, Wang Jung was moved. At Elite Academy X, no matter how many people hollered, he did not feel much, but now, only tens of juniors were present, but he felt emotional. Especially after seeing a few in the school uniform of Ares College, his own blood was fired. The Aslan people passing by and other tourists let them by with a smile. No one would say anything about this scene. Of course, this was just noisy on impression. Everyone was still disciplined. It was squeezy, but on the whole, they kept themselves orderly on the street. 7 people had come from Ares College, and they surrounded Wang Jung and Zhang Shan. They had already discussed this. They would introduce themselves one by one, and then get their autographs and pictures one by one, very orderly. And those from Mars went to find Lai Xin. No discussion needed. Line up in order of ability. They spoke to Lai Xin one by one. Achilles smiled and nodded to his juniors from Moonlight College. After mentioning a few of the teachers there, the distance closed quickly. In an instant, they felt that Achilles was not as aloof as in the rumors, and had a normal side to him. Student Mu Zhen, surrounded by tourists and Aslan people. Titan star person? So tall, could they get a picture? Although he did not like being corralled, Mu Gen generously agreed. He was understanding the humans better each day. They had their warlike side, but also a peaceable side. Whoa, you speak the common language so well. Hegel had gotten Lai Xin and Wang Zheng's autographs, then stood at the side. As a Martian, he had no interest in Achilles from the moon. The Martians idolized the strong, but there had to be an alignment of interests. Wang Zheng was worthy of their attention. Warring Dragon leader Long Ya was just about to head to the restaurant to confirm their place. After all, an extra Mu Gen had come along. Although the doorframe of the place was big enough, there might not be enough space to accommodate the giant inside. He had to go and greet the shop owner first. But in a flash, he saw Hegel standing with a satisfied expression. Long Ya smiled. Got all your autographs? Perfect. Help me go to the restaurant to confirm the seats. Long Ya wanted autographs as well, but as a leader, he could not be the first to rush up. Hegel nodded and turned to run off, when his vision turned black. Pam. He had collided with someone. At the same time, he stumbled and stepped on the other person's leg, and not lightly. You blind. Hegel was about to back off when he felt a sharp pain in his shoulder. He had been violently pushed off balance by the person he ran into. No normal person. Long Ya felt a chill in his heart. He moved forward to catch Hegel. He felt the brunt of the impact and absorbed the power. The opponent had dealt a nasty blow. Hegel took a breath and lifted his head to see a 2-meter-tall giant, staring at him full of fury. As he fell to the ground, Hegel's temper was rising as well. His collision had not been serious, but the other guy had pushed him down very heavily. Friend, it's true that I ran into you. But wasn't your blow just a little overboard? You're talking back to me? Forgan was very angry. Beside him were 2 Aslan girls, laughing prettily. He had just managed to successfully talk them out, and was boasting to the Aslan beauties that he was the main shield of the Ghana Star Sig team. He had been in full flow when the little shrimp had broken in. Of course, there was an underlying reason. The Ghana people had come here first, and wanted to eat at the delicacies from the Sky Aslan Eatery. But they had said they were full, and the solar system guys had already booked the place. They had just walked over and seen those solar system bums. That was fine, but now he had been hit. Then he was not going to hold back. Since they had made the first move, he could not be blamed for retaliating, right? Forgan's blow had been calculated to escalate the situation. Hegel had a classic Martian temper, but Long Ya had him in a death grip. He had seen the emblem on the other guy's clothes. He was from Ghana Star Battle Team, and also battling Tiger's first opponent. If Hegel made the first move, the matter would escalate. It was probable that both solar system teams would be immediately disqualified. Friend, what you're doing is not very chivalrous, but it is indeed our mistake for colliding into you. I apologize on his behalf. Forgan's eyes flashed, and he pointed down at his shoes. If apologies are useful, how about I beat you to death, and then you apologize? It's simple. Kneel down and lick my shoe clean. Then scram as far as you can. On his side, Wang Zheng had also noticed that something was wrong. He had just walked over with the rest when he heard that utterance. Instantly, the whole solar system side exploded. Especially the Martians. Their tempers were like a loose cannon, and exploded at the slightest touch. What did you say? Say that again. Oh, is it about numbers? Looking at the tens of people swarming over, Forgan did not display the slightest indication of backing down. With a clatter, the Ghana team members who had been watching the show from the side stood up. Although they only had half the numbers, they looked much more intimidating than the solar system side. Calkins and Gannons had that aura about them. Forgan gave a taunting laugh. The weak always look the same. Scram, don't just stand there. Forgan was no fool. Firstly, he knew that this place was too damned crowded. He also knew that this was their first opponent. If they could already intimidate them now, then the official competition would be a breeze. Because the solar system was just too weak. This was something that the whole Milky Way alliance knew. As expected, the 2 solar system teams were starting to get cold feet. Hegel and Long Ya's expressions were stiff. They looked at the ferocious and savage Gannons. They could neither fight nor back down. If they slinked away now, they would be shamed. Achilles frowned. He was not good at handling such matters. Just as Lai Xin was about to go over, Wang Zheng pulled her back. Seeing Wang Zheng and the rest come over, the solar system side dispersed for them. Achilles had stopped Lai Xin as well. Lai Xin's fiery temper was not too suited for handling such things. The moment Wang Zheng appeared, the atmosphere immediately shifted. Although the Ganons still had their swagger, their aura had somehow lessened. Wang Zheng walked over smiling cheekily. He came right up to Forgan, and stomped heavily on his foot. He raised his head slightly to look at Forgan. I very carefully stepped on you. What do you want to do about it? The two of them faced off up close. Wang Zheng was not as tall as the other guy, but he continued to look at Forgan with his foot on him. Forgan's eyeballs were popping out now. The other Ganas were staring at Wang Zheng hatefully as well. But the swaggering Ganons, known for their savagery, made not a single sound. They did not dare to attack. This person had not made any big moves, but he had already locked down all of their members. A complete mental suppression. Ghana Star was a cruel place where the strong ate the weak. They were extremely sensitive to danger. Within the human world, there were no absolute rules. Obviously, the competition would not allow fights, but friction? That was impossible. Differences in customs, in developmental attitude, necessarily led to frictions, and the result? On one point, Forgan was right. At a place like Sig, where bloodthirst ran rampant, the strong should be respected. Wang Zheng patted Forgan. The weak should act accordingly. Scram. A bunch of angry Ganons stood in confrontation for a few moments. Forgan abruptly turned, and they left without a backward glance. It was not that Forgan did not want to fight, but he had calculated the odds. The consequences would be worse if he attacked. The more experienced one was in battle, the less one fought mindless battles for pride. Wang Zheng had counted on this as well. A place like Ghana Star accepted that the strong would bully the weak. Of course, if they had dared to attack, he would not mind teaching them a lesson. But in such a place, if they had backed down, they would be bullied everywhere. Seeing the Ghana savages leaving, the solar system members whooped. Long Ya and Hegel swelled up as well. Damn, this was domination. This was ownage. This was awesome. Responding to Wang Zheng's signal, they quieted down. Each person gazed at Wang Zheng with reverence. Wang Zheng was indeed a legend within the solar system, with countless fans in the military schools, but these people felt that the real thing was cool beyond belief. I think that your mentors must have warned you before you left that all of you represent the image of the solar system outside. Adhere by the rules. Don't cause trouble. Is that right? Wang Zheng asked. All of them nodded. They did not know where Wang Zheng was going. They did not want to start anything. The mentors are definitely right, but it does not mean that you should still bow your head to anybody that insults the solar system. Sometimes you have to fight. When you're challenged, what else can you do? Wang Zheng's voice was calm. When the phrase, "What else can you do?" landed, it was like a lock broke. When you could take no more, you would take no more. Hegel raised a fist savagely. He felt like his blood was boiling. If they had bowed their heads just now, and taken it lying down, he would have died of his own anger. This is Sig. Everyone here is the finest warrior from their nation. It is the world of the strong. Only strength can prove glory and earn respect. I hope that everyone will charge forward in the upcoming battle. Die on your feet, rather than lying down. Wang Zheng said. Immediately, all of them lost their heads. Even a few Aslan girls were looking on with shining eyes. Who is this? He's so cool. Damn, you don't know him. He's Saruman Snake's captain, Wang Zheng, Elite Academy X's greatest king. He's that earthling. Damn, what a terrifying earthling. Haven't seen the like in centuries. All the while, the image of the solar system had been too soft. That was why they had been bullied everywhere. In the past, Wang Zheng had not paid too much attention, because those beside him were resistant. But just now, he had seen that the problem was serious. They had been about to step on their head and take a *T. Endure? Forget what the rules said. Even if there would be consequences, one had to fight back when one had to. Otherwise, there was no point to life. What battle power could a team hope to have if they backed down even under such circumstances? The two solar system teams were incensed to howls. It seemed like they had no problems with impressing now. If they were weaker, there was nothing they could do. But if they had cringed before the battle started, that was the real shame. This boy is really good at rousing them up. Lai Xin sighed with relief as well. If it had been her, she would have just beaten up the opponent, but would not have been able to achieve such a result. Wang Zheng had galvanized each member's will and dignity. One had to live with dignity. In that regard, Wang Zheng is stronger than both of us. Achilles smiled slightly. This was a natural quality, something that could not be nurtured. The same approach would not have the same effect with anyone else. But Wang Zheng could pull it off. He emanated this aura from his bones. Hopefully, this bunch of punks can have more backbone. Saruman Snake was in Group C of the 5 main groups. Out of the seeded teams, Maya Empire's Child of Light battle team was also in Group C, and Wang Zheng's familiar, old friend, Student Lear, was also in this group. Although there were many qualified teams, and they should not meet under normal circumstances, who would not prepare for the off chance? It almost seemed like enemies on a narrow road. Saruman Snake battle team's first opponent was Mossy Republic. This was a federation near Aslan. They basically survived because of their proximity to Aslan. Thanks to their geographical position, coupled with the positive influence of the Great Aslan financial circle, this country was rather well off. Of course, to the citizens of Mossy Republic, an Aslan citizenship was their dream. Basically more than half of their citizens aimed towards this goal. They also often regarded themselves as little Aslan people. After all, they lived close, and had a good relationship. Mossy Republic's leader was Sabi. He was genuinely a military student, and had already tendered his application to be a research student at the Royal College. This leader Sabi was the classic stereotype who wanted to be part of Aslan. His situation was rather unique. He had already attained the acceptance notification, and being able to take part in SIG this time was another feather in his cap. This filled Sabi with anticipation. These few days at the Royal College seemed like the start of his new life as an Aslan person. Oh, you're saying Wang Zheng has some conflict with Aslan nobility? Leader Sabi was excited to hear this. Yeah, without question. I heard that practically all the upper echelons in Aslan hate this guy. Di Maria, Aurora, etc. They all say he's arrogant. Captain, if we can give them a severe whooping, Aslan will definitely have a great impression of us. Sabi smiled. He was elated. But they're the greatest king of Elite Academy X. Do you think we can win? They're a bunch of solar system punks. I don't reckon they're that good, but I did watch their footage. That Wang Zheng guy seems like a capable one. Kiki, flies, that's why we should give them a chance to show their potential, shouldn't we? Sabi's face slowly creased in a cold smile. Our leader is wise. I've already found out where they're staying. Be assured about the rest. Not a soul will know of it. There will be no leaks. Flies laughed arrogantly. They had done this many times, and this would be nothing new. They are all experts. Be extremely careful. Judge the time well, and don't let it come back to bite us. Captain, I'm on it. Don't worry. Flies smiled brilliantly. There were many ways to achieve victory. This was an era where only results mattered, and many wanted to see Saruman Snake brought low. Wang Zheng was the most terrifying one on the Saruman Snake battle team. As long as Wang Zheng was not in good condition, Saruman Snake was a second-rate team. If Wang Zheng insisted on competing, that would be even better. If he competed while feeling poorly, if he won, he would be a martyr. If he lost, he would be a fool, a good sign. In this world, those who worship martial strength often failed the fastest, because they did not use their brains much. The Mossy Republic battle team had no intentions of achieving a great result, but all they needed to do was finish off the Saruman Snake battle team, and they would be famous overnight. Even if Wang Zheng went to cry and complain after the competition, it would be no use. The competition would not break the rules just because of one team. And the important thing was, he would leave no evidence behind. Some people had an unremarkable ability X, but they were actually extremely practical, such as his. Flies was not a core member, but a reserve. He never competed, but no matter where they went to battle, everyone in the team knew that leader Sabi would bring him along. Some teased that he was like a team mascot, and some said that he and leader Sabi were getting it on. None of this was important. Identity was fluid, and utility was key. The Dynasty battle team were also making their own preparations. Luo Fei felt unlucky. Damn, why did they have to be in the same group as the Saruman Snake Battle team? Say, boss, do you think we'll meet Wang Zheng along the way? Fatty had no love for things like battle and glory. Lear smiled slightly. What are you trying to say? Nothing. Seems like there are quite a few newcomers in our team. I don't know them. These were all last-minute additions, and nondescript fellows. But the school would not care. Besides, they were reserves. But Fatty felt like they were trouble. These few people are quite capable. They should be pleasant surprises. It's a good thing if we meet Wang Zheng. Lear was in a good mood. Ability was the hardest logic. In truth, Lear also wanted to get a good result in this SIG. Taking the championship was his greatest wish, but he was also aware of the difficulty. It was virtually impossible. Given Dynasty's ability, they should be thanking their lucky stars if they could enter the top 8. But those few strong reinforcements had given Lear new hope. In the end, he still believed that only the intimidating ones were the truly mighty. He was unconvinced. He acknowledged that Wang Zheng was strong, but he was not convinced that the Saruman Snake Battle team was undefeatable. He had tested out Zhou Yun and the other two. They were indeed extraordinary. Saruman Snake was strong not because of Lai Xin or Achilles, but because of their ancient arts transmitted through the generations. But they were not the end of it. Zhou Yun's ferocity was no less than Lai Xin's, and his fighting technique was better. At the same time, this spoke of another issue. The Saint had been rather satisfied with his performance at Maklu. Otherwise, he would not have been supported thus as well. The Saint was mysterious. Lear already felt their unfathomable power and foundation. Ever since he had come into contact, Lear had become very clear of how oblivious he had been, and how clear his mastery currently was. His target was not just a simple matter of making his name. This SIG included, it was all to prove that he was the most suitable Saint, in terms of intellect, talent, and ability. Perhaps he was not the strongest in terms of single challenge, but he must be the most holistically outstanding. Saint was such a big organization. It definitely did not need a fighter who only knew how to charge. To understand power, intellect was the key. At Maklu, he had had no indications. Through his judgments and clues, he had single-handedly reached that far. Although he had not completed the Easter project, he had at least saved himself. Under normal circumstances, the Saint would definitely see the completion of the mission as the goal. But his circumstances were different. He was not a charging pawn. Under any circumstances, preserving himself and making progress was the first duty. He had done it. Even if the cursed Wang Zheng had taken half. But this was the difference. Wang Zheng might be congratulating himself, a kid who had been given some money. One look and you knew he was a peasant, but he had gained even more. From the start, he and Wang Zheng had come from different viewpoints. No matter how much Wang Zheng did, no matter how much he gained, all would be ashes and dust at the end. It was just one Tita Star, one Maklu, one rotten chamber of commerce. Not worthy of mention. Lear's heart was filled with calm anticipation. He did hope they would not meet Saruman Snake. Crushing him before the main tournament would be no fun.